Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at AVAX. This is going to be a lower time frame video. We do have our higher time frame video up above, so check that out if you haven't already. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Before we jump into the lower degree counts, what I want to talk about is two of the main ideas that we're looking for. So one of them is that we are potentially looking at this whole structure as a diagonal from further back, where this is our wave 1 low. What we have here is that this is wave 2. Looking at this as 3, 4, and what we're looking for is the potential to see another 3 wave move to the downside. Now, invalidation of this would come by actually pushing back above this 2156 or by pushing down below this 121 here of this 740. Now, if we do see something along these lines, what we'd be looking for effectively would be a 5 wave move down, 3 wave move up, and another 5 wave move down. Now, currently the structure here is not giving me a lot of confidence to say that this is actually looking to play out. And it is looking more likely that rather what we are looking to form here is something along these lines where we are looking at this whole move as a bigger corrective structure, as an X wave back into this low here, and looking for a Y wave to the upside. Now, there is also the potential that this could look to develop into a 5 wave move where this becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, in which case then my next likely target would actually be this 1.618. If this is just going to be a 3 wave move, however, what I would be expecting is a 3 wave structure looking to push back to the upside here and not exceeding this 1618. As a Y wave, we can push up to 1618, but it is less common for this to happen. And what we tend to do is target out between this 1 to 1 here. And if I just quickly throw on these other levels, this 1 to 1 and this 1, 2, 3, 6 is the most common area, with also the possibility of coming up towards this 1, 3, 8, 2. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this. If we just form a 3-way move to the upside here, this would align with this idea of this continuation up here before looking for that continuation to the downside after that point. If, however, we do develop this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we look to push up towards these zones, what we need to be on the lookout for then is the retracement. If we get 3 waves down, potentially we could see continuation up. Alternatively, if we get 5-wave move to the upside and then we start to break down in 5 waves, that would align with our higher time frame, more bearish scenario. So need to just be careful with this. At the moment, like I said, it is still looking likely that we are looking to push up one more time here, in my opinion. We'll have to see whether this continues to hold or whether we start to follow that more bearish scenario where we could still see that 3-wave move to the downside from this point. Okay, so looking at this structure here, what we would be saying is that internally what we are looking for is the potential that this whole move is an A wave into this high. We're looking for a B wave, and then we're looking for that C wave to the upside. Now, the most common target area you have for a B wave is this green box area. We have come down into the 50%, which is this 1262. Now, if we do look to come down deeper here, we could look to potentially target out this 618, sitting at this 1195, all the way down towards this 1105. If we start to take out this 1105, it starts to become more likely that we are forming some kind of an impulsive pattern here to the downside. So I'm going to be on the lookout for that idea. Now, if we are looking at the internal count to this, there's 2 ways that I'm currently looking at this structure done. So potentially what we could argue here is that this is just an A, B, and a C into this low. And what we have here is a corrective move to the upside in an X wave. And then from here, what we could then have is that this is A, we're looking for a B wave, and then we're still looking for that C wave down. So within this idea, what I would be saying is that we have this as a 3-wave move here, A, B, and C into this point. And what we could be then looking for is this B wave up. Now, if this is going to be a B wave up, what I would be looking for here more locally would be the idea that this is an A wave. We're coming back down in a B wave. We're going to see a push back up for this C wave. Now, if we are looking for this as a potential rejection area, 1315 to this 1280 is going to be our zone we're looking for. We've already hit this 50%. So the next likely point here to the upside would actually be if we do look for a reversal from where we currently are, roughly towards this 702, which is sitting here at this 1304. So if we do look to fall short of this golden pocket is going to be an interesting area because this is also aligning with this previous swing high over here. Alternatively, higher up here towards the 786, this would be bringing us back into some horizontal resistance. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on those 2 different levels there. If this move to the downside is not completed, we could potentially still see a little bit more downside towards this 1235, which would align with the structure just extending out a little bit, where this is basically W, X, and then we're looking for this as a Y wave, or potentially A, B, and then we're looking for this as a C wave. The problem is internally here, it's very hard to count this as a 5-wave move currently, so it would be more likely that it'll be that corrective structure down. Now, if we are looking at this as a W, an X, and a Y, effectively what I'd be looking for here is 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and then 5 waves to the downside, which could then look to push us towards these lower levels of this 854 here to the 786, which is sitting towards us 1233 to this 1229, though we have actually come back into the golden pocket here. So I want to see how we react. If we start to push up and start taking out some of these highs, then this would align with the idea that, you know, possibly we could already be looking for this push to the upside here in this ABC pattern. So if we're looking for this idea of a push to the upside here, what I would be looking out for would be for this, effectively this being a either wave 1 or a wave A, this being a B or wave 2, and then looking for this as a C wave towards this 1304. So that would align with that idea of having that push to the upside. If, however, we start to form a bigger impulsive structure here where we maintain this 1220, we see 3 waves down, we start to push to the upside, and we start to push up towards this 1618 level at this 1344, this would be confirming a breakout, in my opinion, where we'd be looking for this then as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we'd be looking to find support again above this low. If we do see a 5-wave move to the upside like this, and then we see 3 waves back to the downside, maintaining this level here of this 1288 to this 1249, we could potentially be setting up for a bigger impulsive move to the upside. But we don't have confirmation of this, so I haven't put the additional waves on here yet. What I want to see is if we hold this white target box area and we hold this 1229, whether we can see this move look to rally to this 1618. If we hit that 1618, we could then get that 4th and a 5th, and then we'd be looking for that continuation up. Now, there is also potential here that we could look at this move slightly different here, and what we could say is that we have this as a bigger W, X, Y, X, and then we're looking for this as A, B, and C. Now, that would be saying that what we have here internally is that this move here is a flat correction, in which case what we'd then be looking for would be the potential to see a C wave to the downside. So if we do start to break down here, we get this as 1, 2, and we get a bigger 3, 4, and a 5, looking to push us down potentially towards this 1-to-1 level here, which would be this 1184, or alternatively towards this 0.618 would be a minimum requirement. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this 0.618 just because it is aligning quite nicely with these previous lows that we've got over here. If we do look to push down here one more time and we just see a move like this, which looks to find support and then move away, this could actually be that W, X, Y, X, and Z looking to complete earlier on here. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this 0.618 because this is going to be the minimum requirement of this, and what we'd be saying is we want to see 3-wave structure down here. So looking at that idea, what we'd be saying here is that we want to see something like this playing out more locally. Now, invalidation of this would come by crossing this high here at this 1281, and what we want to see is that this is 1, 2, and we're looking for this 3rd wave down. Like I said, you know, at the moment this move is not looking very impulsive. There is always a potential there could be something like a 1 and a 2 and another 1, 2 here, and then we look to break down and start to, you know, extend within the structure. But we'd have to cross this 1217 for this idea to come into play, and we'd have to then say that this would be 1, 2, and then this would become our 3rd, 4th, and a 5th wave to the downside towards this 1212 to this 1205. Now, the key thing within this idea here is that if we do see a 5-wave move down like this, this could still just be that corrective move, like I said, where this is A, B, and C, and that could form our Z wave. If we do form that Z wave, then we'd be expecting to see impulsive structure continuing to the upside. If we fail to do that, and what we do is we form something like this 5-wave move down here, and we only get 3 waves down, and we fail to take this high, it's going to be more likely then that we're going to see continuation to the downside, where this move either becomes A, B, and C, or alternatively a bigger 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern, in which case what we'd have to be careful of is that if we start to develop this as a bigger 5-wave pattern, what we could have in play here is that this move could start to become something like this, where we have this as a bigger 1, 2 over here, and if we start to push down towards this 1127 area, this whole structure could then become 1, 2, and then we see 3, 4, and 5, which would be looking to push us down towards this 1114 to this 1094. Now, if we did see something like this, this could still potentially be a corrective pattern where we say that instead of this being W, X, and Y, this could be A, B, and then we'd be looking for this as a C wave, which would be aligning with coming back down into some of these lower levels here. And if I overlap that idea, you can see here that if we did see a 5-wave move down into that zone, it would align with coming back down into this 786 at this 1105. So going to be keeping an eye on those levels. If we do see this fail to actually break back above this high over here at this 1342, the probabilities start to become higher in the favor of that downside. More locally here, if we fail to take this high, we would be still looking for that potential of at least a smaller 5-wave structure here. But if this starts to extend, then, you know, potentially we could be looking for that more bearish scenario here. We're going to see a bit more of a, you know, deeper retracement here. Now, if we are looking at that idea, you know, of that 5-wave move to the downside within that bigger ABC pattern here, saying that this could all be looking to form an A wave, we form a B wave and a C wave, looking for that diagonal pattern. We need to be very careful that within here we don't have some further extension. It is very choppy at the moment. You know, potentially we could argue that there's something like this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into here. This is a wave 2 potentially. Then we have another diagonal here. This is another 2. This becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we start to extend out in this way where effectively these wave 2s are just not really showing themselves as yet because we don't have the preceding price action to confirm it. So I'm going to be very careful of this. You know, possibly within this structure, we can break it down here, but we also potentially have done enough to complete in this zone. So I'm just being mindful because we've come down to that 0.618 level that we could start to see a move up. Now, there's not enough evidence to say that something like this would be playing out. And like I said, really, until we start breaking back above some of these key highs here, it's more likely that that downside is going to come in. However, if we do maintain this 1220 level, what we could then see is that, you know, this could still be a wave 1. We get a wave 2 down here, and then we look for a rally to the upside. And like we discussed earlier, if we do see something like this as a 5-wave move playing out, effectively what we'd then be looking for would be further confirmation by having another 3-wave move down, looking to hold this common support box here, and then looking to actually extend to the upside. So that's what I'm going to be looking out for, you know, more locally here, and you know, over the next couple of days to see how price is actually reacting to these zones. Now, we do also have some naked points of control which would align with a move back up into that zone where we're saying that this could be a potential ABC. We have this one sitting here towards this 1309 as on the daily naked point of control, and then we have a monthly one also sitting here towards this 1324. So if we do see price looking to continue to the upside here, these could be potential targets that we look to take out before that move to the downside. If, however, we're going to see that breakdown idea, what we could see within this lower degree here is that if we are sitting at this as 1, 2, and then we potentially form another 1, 2 here, we still have this daily naked point of control sitting at this 1260, which I'll be keeping an eye on to see if we get an interaction with. If we do form something like this as another 1 and a 2, and then we look to break down, this would align with this yellow count here, looking for this wave 3 to start extending out. So need to just be on the lookout for these interactions here. If we are looking at lower down here, we do also have a monthly and a daily naked point of control sitting towards this 1154 to this 1147. Now, this would align with the idea that we could see something like a 5-wave move down here, looking to come back into some of these lows. So I'm just being mindful, you know, there is a couple of targets down here that we could look to move down and take out before that move to the upside if we are going to see that continuation. Or alternatively, if we're going to see this move looking to break down, we also do have some targets up here that we could potentially look to sweep before having that breakdown. Having a look at the daily CPR lines, what we can see is that we have currently rejected off of our central lines. Now, if we continue to reject off this zone, the likelihood is that we are going to come down and test this S1 line here at this 1241, which is not very far from where we are. If we lose that level, other targets to the downside for today are this 1234, this 12.21 and this level here of this 12.13. So going to be keeping an eye on these zones if we do see price starting to reject to the downside here. If however we do look to find support here and look to reverse to the upside and actually get back above these central lines, what we could then see is a move towards this 1261. We have the previous daily high at this 1267. We also have other targets of this 1274, 1281, and this 1294 as potential upside targets for today. So these targets would actually align with that idea of seeing something like a reversal here and looking for this as a bigger ABC pattern. Now, if we come over here onto the weekly pivots, what we can see is that we've actually printed a lowest weekly CPR line, and we are currently below this. So this is giving us an initial bearish bias, and we are currently below this zone. So we need to be just careful of the idea that if price continues to reject off these zones, other targets for this week could be this 1209. We have this 1159 and this zone of this 1091. If however we see price looking to find support here, we look to push back up and we find support above these central lines here, what we could then see is price could actually look to come and target out this 1326 as a R1 line. We have the 1391 and this 1443 as potential upside targets. Now, this resistance here above us could be between this 1267 and this 1283. Until we actually break this level, we need to just be aware that we have rejected off this zone once before. We could still see this look to reject again if we do see a move up here, and then looking for that breakdown potential. Other targets to the downside for this week would be this 1158 and this 1090 as potential zones if we lose that lower target. Now, if we do look at the monthly CPRs here, these are giving us a slightly different picture because we've actually printed a higher CPR line here on the monthly, which is giving us an initial bullish bias. Now, because of this fact, we need to just be on the lookout that if price does look to start reversing to the upside here, potentially we could look to find resistance at this 1325. We have this 1367 and this 1412. If we want to see a move that is going to start to trend here, we need to see price getting back above these central CPR lines and looking to find support. If however we look to move to the downside first, I will be looking at this potential of coming down towards this 1139 as a potential target area where we could look to find support. Other targets to the downside for this month is this 995 and we have this 766. If we do see price looking for this reversal to the upside and we manage to reclaim these central lines, what we could see as targets to the upside for this month would be this 1513, 1739 and this 1883 as potential targets to the upside for this month. So going to be keeping an eye on this. That would align with the idea of seeing this count starting to do something like this, where this becomes an A wave, we get this as a B wave, and then we look for that C wave to the upside. So these levels could be quite important if we do start to see price looking to break to the upside here. But until we actually get back above these central CPR lines here, we need to be very careful of that idea of either move down into this S1 line and looking to find support, or looking for that bigger breakdown potential. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you will find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.